Hi, it's just a quick video. I wanted to, because I've noticed a couple of things that maybe might be helpful. People about some of these, these starters. This is from a snowblower. It's a very common style starter, and a lot of times these won't work, and all you hear is this click, click, click. Instead of this, it jumps a little bit. And the reason, if you come out and you hear this, there's going to be generally only two reasons, unless the starter is bad, which is pretty rare. The first thing I'd say is these starters are pretty well made, and they actually have seals. They have rubber seals in the casing. I've opened up a couple of these that are like ancient. I mean, you know, one was from the 70s, and one was from this one's from like in the 90s, and there's literally no corrosion inside of them. I mean, they look like brand new. The only corrosion that I've seen is on the outside, like you'll see on the gears. And the number one reason your starter isn't working, the wonderful 3-prong connector of our U.S. circuits here, electrical AC, is this. They're generally brass, and they may look fine, like they don't look corroded, but they actually are. Because what happens is they start turning a dark brass, and they'll look like they should be working. They're not green or anything, but there's so much, buildup of dirt on them that they're not making a connection. I've had this happen with this particular starter. Is that I mean, you can see here, I don't know if you can see here, but I had cleaned this up and it works fine now. But before I cleaned it up, it just looked like, dark, dirty brass, and it would literally have nothing. It was just, all I heard was click, click. The other reason that you might have that problem is if the starter is mounted, and usually like this one, is open, and this, to mount it, that's so you can slide it up, and then put in the bottom bolts here, and then you can put the top, and you get you get it in a nice spot. But when this comes out, right, when this turns, it comes out, and what'll happen is if this gets stuck in a bad position, sometimes when it comes out, it won't do anything. It won't engage. Sometimes, but that's pretty rare. I said one, but there's generally two problems, like this. One is that if it comes out, it's not engaging properly. But if that's the case, you're going to know it because you're going to hear noise. But and that's another problem in itself. But what I meant is like a quiet problem, like with this, all you get is that. And the reason for that is actually in the starter, because what happens, even though they don't corrode, sometimes they get stuck, and that's why people say, "Oh, hit them with a hammer or something to get them to move," because if they've been sitting for a long time, they may just be a little resistant to turn. It's like if you ever anything that has like a copper windings and like a stator, if it sits for a long time, it can get a little corroded, and it may not want to turn. And this doesn't get it's not too bad, but what it does get like wearing from spinning, and the connections inside get kind of dirty, so it can prevent it from turning. And it's like if you ever had an alternator, say, that was sitting and got in a junkyard. The first minute you turn it on, it'll make a lot of noise, and then it smooths out because it cleaned all that corrosion off. It's the same thing with this, like it's stuck. And that's all that is. So, I mean, the main three problems, I should say two is the quiet problems, where you'll just click, and that's all you get. And one is, like I said, that this is stuck. You might want to tap it, with like a light hammer. And the other is to clean these terminals, because the inside does not really get, the terminals and stuff don't get dirty. The other is like if it's shifted in the mounting, it might not be lining up properly. Somebody improperly installed it, And but if you make sure, like you said, that it's properly positioned, and you clean the terminals, these will generally last a long time, and they're not cheap. So you don't want to spend $120 to buy, because that's how much this one costs to replace it. You want to spend $120 to find out that it's not the starter. Okay, so you want to check your mounting. Maybe you want to tap this with a rubber hammer. Clean your terminals, and then plug it in, bench test it like that, and it should pop off the table like that. If it doesn't, well, after all that, after you checking it, and like I said, giving a few lub taps and cleaning the terminals, it doesn't work, then it's probably is an internal problem. And then you may have to spend $120 if you got this done. For one like it. Some are a little bit cheaper, some a little more. But just basically a few simple things. Like I said, mounting, it could be a mounting issue. Could be, like I said, that it's been sitting a long time, or it could be dirty terminals. That's it. Thanks for watching.